Scared to death, deer in the headlights. Every sales rep has felt like this. You're staring at your phone, you have 500 names on a list, and suddenly you're not a sales professional anymore. You're a kid at the high school dance trying to ask somebody to slow dance. But instead of you having a corsage, you have a quota. And instead of the DJ playing the Humpty dance, you got your sales manager screaming, "Why ain't your pipeline bigger?" And all you can think is one thing: I don't want to be that guy. You know that guy. We all know that guy. That guy is the reason your mom screens her calls. That guy is the reason your neighbor installed a Ring doorbell camera. That guy is the reason I once faked my own death to avoid a timeshare presentation in Branson, Missouri. Hey, I'm not proud of it, but I'm here, I'm alive, I don't own a timeshare, so who's the real winner here? But here's the thing. You're right to feel this way. In fact, if you feel this way and you don't want to be that guy, congratulations. You're doing better than the 84% of the other reps out there. 84% of buyers straight up complain that sales reps are annoying. And honestly, I think that number should be a little bit higher. I think if they did a survey on a Monday morning before the caffeine kicks in, that number would be 97%, and the other 3% would be the sales reps voting for themselves. Let me hit you with some numbers that should make every sales professional sit up straight. Well, at least wipe the Cheetos dust off their chair. 85% of all prospects are dissatisfied with the sales calls they receive. 87% say that salespeople don't understand their needs, and 42% of sales reps don't even bother to research before they dial. 42%. That means almost half of the people calling your phone right now know less about you than the barista at your local coffee shop. And the only reason your barista knows you is because you order the same Mocha Loca Choca latte every single day. Like a creature of habit with a disposable income problem. And this is the part that gets me fired up. The same research shows that something else completely. 82% of all buyers will accept a meeting with a rep who reaches out proactively. 82%. The door is standing wide open, folks. We're just trying to kick it down with our foreheads instead of using the key. And then we wonder why we have a headache and no meetings. So today, we're talking about how to prospect without being that guy. Not by avoiding the phone calls, not by hiding behind an email like a digital hermit crab, but by changing the way you show up before you ever say hello. I'm Daryl Henney, 25 years in the sales trenches and still selling every day. I have made every mistake that I'm about to warn you about, including a voicemail I left in 2003 that I still think about every morning in the shower. So, if you've ever stared at a phone until it literally looks at you and say, "What are you doing?" then hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, because this channel is built for reps that want to sell like humans, not robots. I'm going to show you the methods that changes everything. And I promise, no timeshares. So let's go. All right, so let's get on the page about who that guy actually is. Because I think we use that phrase as a punchline, but we don't always look in the mirror and say, am I becoming him? That guy is a rep who sprays and prays. He's got 500 names on a list, A script written by a guy in marketing that's never cold called a day in his life. And a manager breathing down his neck, screaming about why the numbers isn't higher. That guy treats every name on that list like a number, not a person. A conversation metric, a notch on the board. He walks into every conversation holding a hammer, and surprise, everyone looks like a nail. And we've all been on the receiving end of that guy, right? The telemarketer who pretends he knows your boss, the car salesman who follows you to the bathroom, the LinkedIn connection who sends you a novel length pitch about his SEO agency before you've even accepted the request. It feels gross. It feels desperate. And here's what nobody tells you in your sales training is the prospect can smell desperation through the phone line. They may not know what it is, but they know they want to hang up. Now, I want to say something that might ruffle some feathers, but it needs to be said. People don't want to be sold. They want to be heard. You're going to hear that a lot through the DLH method because that is how I truly feel sales should be approached. So write that down, tattoo it on your forehead if you have to. Every time you pick up that phone, think, I need this sale. You have already lost the battle because the person on the other end of that line, they don't care about your sales quota. They don't care about your commission check. They care about their problem, their day, and their stresses. And when you show up as that guy, script in hand, pitch locked and loaded, ears already closed, you are telling that person without saying a word that you care more about your numbers than you do about them. The shift isn't about doing less calls. I'm not telling you to stop prospecting. I'm not telling you to hide behind emails and hope the leads magically inbound themselves. The shift is about what you're holding when you make that call. Now let me break that down for you. Most reps are holding a pitch. I want you to hold a question. Most reps are holding a quota. I want you to hold a conversation. Most reps are holding fear. Fear of rejection, fear of silence, fear of the dial tone. I want you to hold something else. Curiosity. Here's the core truths of this video. And if you take away nothing else, take away this. Prospecting isn't about volume. It's about approach. Self-awareness and relatability will open more doors than any script ever written, even the scripts that I write. Let me say that again because I know some of you there are sitting back there thinking, Daryl, my manager wants 80 dials a day. Are you telling me to dial less? No, I'm telling you to dial better because the data backs up this in ways that should make your manager shut up and pay attention. The reps who research before contacting a prospect is 2.1 times more likely to exceed quota. Let me say that again. 2.1 times more likely to exceed quota than reps who just blast their list. Not 10% more likely to, not marginally better, double. I'm saying double, and they don't make more calls. They make smarter calls. There's a study from gong.io, and if you don't know who Gong is, they're basically the NSA of sales calls. They analyze millions of conversations, and they've found something fascinating. Calls that open with genuine rapport, something as simple as, how have you been, delivered like you actually mean it, increases closing rates by 6.6 times. 6.6. Not because those three words are magic, because they signal something to the prospect. This person sees me as a human being first and a lead second. I'm going to say that again one more time for the people in the back. 6.6 times. What would you do with a closing rate that is 6.6 times higher than the closing rate you have right now. And that's the whole game right there. I want to give you a rule I call the 30-second neighbor rule. It's simple. Before you say anything to a prospect, ask yourself, would I say this to my neighbor over the fence? If the answer is no, if it is too slick, too scripted, too salesy, don't say it. Because here's what we forget. The prospect is a person. They have a dog that barks at the mailman. They have kids who just started T-ball. They have a boss who dumps last-minute projects on their desk every Friday at 4:30, by the way. They're not a title in a CRM. They're not director of operations at Acme Corp. They're Steve. And Steve is tired. Here's another one that you're going to hear throughout the training of DLH Method. A sales is an emotional thing. We have to remember the customer's feelings. Every time you pick up that phone, you are entering somebody else's emotional space. Maybe they just got chewed out in a meeting. Maybe they're behind on their deadlines. Maybe they're secretly looking for a new job, and your call is the last thing they need. You don't know. You can't know. But you can't show up in a way that respects the fact that you just walked into their day uninvited. That's what separates the pros from the pretenders. The pros know they are interrupting. They are an interruption. The pretenders think that they're a gift. Now, I want to get practical here because I know some of you are thinking, Daryl, this is great. This is all warm and fuzzy and everything, but what do I actually do? I'll answer that. So here's what you do. You stop preparing your pitch and you start preparing your presence. Before you call anyone at all, you spend 90 seconds learning one thing about them. Did they just post about expanding their team? Did their company win an award last month? Did they share an article about work-life balance? There's your opener. Not your product, that. Because when you lead with a genuine observation, I saw your post about the new warehouse in Dallas. Congratulations. I grew up near there. You have done something that 42% of all sales reps never bother to do. You have shown them that you see them. And in a world where 87% of all prospects feel like a salesperson don't understand their needs, being seen is the most powerful thing you can offer. Now, I promise you, I'd get into the method, and I'm going to tease it here because next week we're going deeper. But the first word of the framework, the word that changes everything, is disarm. Disarm is the first instinct of the DLH method. Disarm means you disarm the fear. You disarm the skepticism. You disarm the wall that every prospect puts up when they realize that they're being sold to. You don't disarm with discounts. You don't disarm with features. You disarm with humanity, with a genuine observation, with a moment of realness that tells them, I'm not that guy. I'm just a person who wants to understand if I can help you. I want to tell you a story happened to me personally, and it is the perfect picture of that guy in the wild. I just moved to Alabama. I needed a home security system, so I filled out a couple of those more info sections on a couple of websites. Figured I'd do some comparison shopping, take my time, make a smart decision, as we do. Well, one of those orange brand security companies called me almost as fast as I hit the get info button. I looked at the phone and rolled my eyes so hard that I seen the bottom side of my own brain. The guy left me a voicemail, and I want you to picture this because it's a masterclass in what not to do. He said, and I quote, "Hi, hello, how you doing? Mr. Hoon. That is not how you pronounce my name. This is Jonathan R. Amos with the Orange Brand Security Company. And here's the kicker. I was looking through my notes and seeing that you had requested more info a bit of time ago. Milliseconds. Not hours. Milliseconds. Not days. Milliseconds. Dude called me so fast my finger was still on the mouse. Then, that was about 8:30 in the morning. Then he turned around and called me again at 11 a.m. And here's the kicker. It was from a different area code, a different number. Exact same script, totally different state. Word for word, like the guy was trying out for a play on Broadway. He delivered the exact same script, not even 3 hours later. And then again at 5 o'clock that evening. 3 times in one day, exact same script, different area codes. I never asked for that. I never said I was ready to buy. I just filled out a form and they treated me like a piñata at a birthday party. Except I was the piñata and they were the kids with the baseball bats. That company probably has great equipment, probably have competitive pricing, probably have fine reputation if you look into their ads, but I will never know because their prospecting approach made me want to board up my windows rather than let them install a sensor on them. That is what that guy does. He takes a person who raises their hand and says, "I'm curious," and treats it like a blood oath. He confuses interest with intent. He confuses a form that they filled out as a signed contract. He burns the bridge before he ever sets a foot on it. Don't be the piñata hitter. Be the neighbor who shows up with a casserole and says, "Saw you moved in. Anything you need?" See, there's the difference. There's the line in the sand. On one side, you've got reps who treat prospecting like a numbers game. And on the other side, you have reps that treat it like a people game. And the people game, the game of curiosity and of genuine interest, of showing up as a human being, that's the game that wins in 2026. Because buyers are smarter than they've ever been. They have more information than they've ever had. And they have less patience for being treated like a conversion metric. So if you're going to prospect, and you should, because the best opportunity don't inbound themselves, then prospect with your eyes open and your heart engaged, not your script memorized and your pitch locked in. Okay, halfway through. Hydration break. Go grab you some water. I'll wait. You back? Good. Because I want to tell you a quick story before we get to the application of this process. Years ago, I was training a young rep. We'll call him Jake. And Jake was good. Great work ethic. First one in, last one out. But he always was struggling. Couldn't book a meeting to save his life. And I watched him make a call one day and realized the problem in 30 seconds. Jake opened with, "Hi, this is Jake from XYZ Solutions. Did I catch you at a bad time?" And the prospect said, "Yes." Because of course they said yes. Jake just gave up the trap door and the neon exit sign. I pulled Jake aside and I said, "Son, you just told that person that your call is an inconvenience before you even told them why you were calling. You disqualified yourself." And Jake looked at me and said, "But that's what the script says." The script is not your friend. The script is a life raft for people who don't know how to swim. And I want you to learn how to swim. The only reason I can research 50 prospects before lunch without losing my mind is because I actually have a system in place. I run my whole prospecting pipeline through close.com. Not because they pay me to say that, though full disclosure, I am an affiliate. I do get a kickback for any purchases done through close.com. But because when I open a contract record, I see every touch, every email, every note, and I actually know who I'm talking to before I dial. That way, I'm not reading a script as I am now. I have a conversation with them. If you're still managing leads in a spreadsheet, do yourself a favor. Link down in the description. Check out close.com. It might help you out. Okay, let's get tactical. And for all my DX fans, you ready? Okay, so here's 3 things you can try tomorrow morning. Not someday, tomorrow. Wait, if tomorrow's Sunday and you don't go to work till Monday, do it Monday. Because doing it tomorrow would make no sense. Do it the next day that you're back at work. And I want you to try all 3 of these on the same day because they work together like a 3-legged stool. You move one leg, well, you're falling on your butt. So number 1, research one thing about that person before you ever call them. Not the company, them. I don't care if it's their LinkedIn post about their kid's graduation. I don't care if it's a tweet about being frustrated about their current vendors. I don't care if it's a fact that they went to college with your cousin's, brother's, uncle's, best friend's mom. Find one human detail and lead with that. Not, hi, I'm calling from ABC Corporation and we help companies like yours increase efficiency by 25%. That's not human. Instead, you say, hi, Sarah. I saw your post about the new Dallas warehouse. Congratulations. I actually grew up about 20 minutes from there. I'm Daryl. I'm calling because... See the difference here? One is a pitch. The other one is a doorway. Be the doorway. Number 2, lead with a genuine observation, not a pitch. This is where most reps die on the vine. They think the first 10 seconds have to be about them, their company, their product, their value. No. The first 10 seconds of a call needs to be about the prospect. Something you noticed, something you learned, something that tells them, I do my homework and I'm not here to waste your time. Remember, sales is an emotional thing. We have to remember the customer's feelings. When you lead with an observation, you are telling that person's emotional side, you're safe. I see you. This is not an attack. And when they feel safe, they open up. When they feel attacked, they armor up. And number 3, and this one scares people. I can hear you now screaming at the screen. Daryl, if you give them an out, they'll take it. Good. Let them. Because here's the truth. A prospect that feels trapped will never buy from you anyway. A prospect that feels free will respect you. And here's the thing. Respect is a currency that will buy you a second call, a third call, hell, even a deal 6 months down the road when their current vendor, sure enough, drops the ball. Try this line. Sarah, if this isn't a fit, just tell me. I'd rather know now than waste your time. Do not say, waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. Remember, 10 seconds about the prospect. That line disarms. That line builds trust. That line tells a prospect, this person is confident enough in what they offer. They don't need to pressure me. And confidence, real confidence, not bravado, is magnetic. Now I want you to role play this with me. I'm going to be the prospect, and you're going to be you. You ready? That guy version. Hi, this is Daryl from DLH Academy. Did I catch you at a bad time? Great. We help sales teams increase their close rates by up to 40% using our proprietary methodology. And I want to see if you'd be open for a brief conversation about your current sales process. Click. So the U version, the DLH Method version. Hi Sarah, Daryl here. I saw your LinkedIn profile about onboarding 3 new SDRs last week. Congratulations. That's a fun chaos, ain't it? Listen, I'm a sales coach who works with teams through this exact growth phase. And I'm calling because I noticed that your team has doubled in size recently, but your process might still be built for a team of 2. If that's not something that you're thinking about right now, just say so. No hard feelings. Now, which call would you take? People don't want to be sold. They want to be heard. And when you show up as a listener first, you don't have to chase the sale. The sale finds you. All right, let's wrap this up. You don't need more names on your list. You need more nerve to be human. You don't need a better script. You need a better approach. And you don't need to avoid the phone. You need to pick it up with curiosity instead of desperation. The data is clear. 85% of all prospects are tired of bad calls. 87% say we don't understand them. 42% of reps don't even research before they dial. That's not a market problem. That's a competitive advantage waiting to be claimed. Because if you're a rep, the 1 in 10 rep that actually shows up prepared, present, and genuinely interested in the person on the other end of the line, then you won't have a prospecting problem. You'll have a capacity problem. You'll be turning down deals because your calendar is completely full. Now, next week, I'm pulling back the curtain. I'm going to show you the exact framework I use every single day in the field. It's 3 words: disarm, listen, help. That's the DLH method. And when you put those 3 words to work in your prospecting, your discovery calls, and your closes, it changes everything. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss it. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with the worst prospecting call that you've ever received. The one that made you cringe. The one that made you hang up and go wash your eyes out. I read every single comment, and I might feature yours in a story in a future video. So let's hear it. I'm Daryl Huney. Thanks for spending your time with me. Now go pick up that phone and be the rep who makes them glad they answered the phone. I'll see you in the next one. You know, I bet that guy Bill, I bet he prospects like that guy.